Hello there. Um, let's see, today's date is June 20th, 2017, and I'm coming to you live from, let's see, Porterville, California. Um, and I'm saying yes to this moment. So I had the urge to um, make a video, start filming, so here I go. No agenda necessarily, just nothing prepared. So, what's going on in this moment for me? Like I said, I'm in California, and just recently I came back from a trip I took to southern India. I was there for maybe, I think, 3.5 weeks, and just really had a very strong calling to go. And, was actually looking into staying for quite a bit longer amount of time than I ended up staying. And um, for whatever reason, I have returned and to my hometown, which I've lived here my whole life, all 38 years. I've been here, and minus a few months for travels and things. Um, and so that's my story. And as far as the places that I've lived. And so I am kind of at I don't know what you want to call, maybe crossroads in my life, or just starting a new segment, because um, I did have, up till a couple of months ago, I had a job, and, here in this town, and so I did my, normal routine, you know, and, uh, and just really found this calling to do something else, something that I felt was the next step in not only who I'm becoming as a person, but the ability to express all of the things that are inside of me that are wanting to come out. And you could even call it as kind of something that was on my bucket list. I really wanted to go and see what was there, and if what was happening on the inside of me was matching to what I could experience and express of that in the world. Without going into too much detail, I just wanted to give an explanation of maybe a little bit of the process and the feeling of, what was going on inside of me. And I really felt that for me to take the next step to where my life is progressing, another step up that hill towards experiencing fulfillment in my life, just a very raw expression of joy, of bliss, all the things that I feel that can take me there, really taking the steps towards that. And also freedom, newer and newer, more clear and clear ways of experiencing freedom in my life in all dimensions. And that's really been the strongest pull, is anytime I feel confined, to break out of that and to know what's even greater of something to experience than that state. So it's been a continual, you know, step step forward, even though maybe the steps are far between sometimes. But there is a kind of a seeking nature I have. I can feel, I've always had this feeling that there's this kind of almost untangible quality that life has. Almost like with our physical senses, we can experience life, of course, but it just feels like there's this very subtle undercurrent and there's something else going on all of the time that we don't see. And of course, physics can obviously tell us that on molecular levels, so many different things are happening that to at least the most of us, it's kind of an unseen happening. So just because of that as well, even though for me particularly, I'm not that intellectually adept into like atomic structure of things and all of that, but I do have that feeling, this very subtle and yet profound feeling that there is something else going on all of the time that's kind of not seen. There's kind of an interconnectedness, or even you could say like a fabric of time and space, or a grid or field that kind of is a support structure and is why we experience coincidence sometimes, why we see beautiful patterns in nature of flowers, the geometry of things. Like there's a kind of an element of design. So even someone from an atheist standpoint could even really look and see that there is this amazing pattern. If nothing else, just the geometric shapes in nature that we can witness and observe, and all of that, and how the planets interact with each other. It just seems like there's a kind of a design to it. Even someone that's atheist can say that, wow, it's really amazing that all of these synchronicities can happen, that everything just kind of works in harmony and balance. So there's many different ways I suppose you could approach that feeling that everything is working together towards something. That's really what it feels like to me. And everything is also beautiful, standing on its own, in its own right, even if it doesn't make sense. For example, one example of that would be I don't know if you would call it, well, sexuality or gender identity, because that's been something very interesting for me for the past, well, most of my life really. And because physically I have a male body, but mentally there is I really tend to identify with the female gender mentally. And just how I operate my life. I have a much more, I guess you could say, feminine mentality, if that's a term. And but as far as what I identify myself as a gender, I can't really say either one. You could look at my life and say, oh wow, look at these masculine traits. Oh wow, look at these feminine traits or qualities that you have. But there's not really so on my like Facebook status or Facebook, let's see, about me section, I put trans, without really researching too much about what that term meant. Now, as a prefix, trans obviously means something you're transitioning, moving from one thing to another, but it also means beyond. And the beyond part is kind of what, as far as like a transgender, beyond gender, that would be more of an appropriate term for me, because I'm not physically going through a change, like deciding to change my body from a male over to female. I'm not planning on any of that surgery or doing anything of that nature, even taking the hormones. I'm not really interested in any of that. But just as far as how I interact with the world and how I view myself on the inside. All of this is very interesting. And the only reason I bring all of this up is because it is obviously something I'm going through now, but at the same time, it's an example for the, the beauty and nature of maybe there is all of this harmony happening in nature where everything kind of works together. Even the planet Earth, from maybe we see a lot of our peoples of the planet Earth don't really get along with each other for whatever reason, if it's religion or race or country or whatever things that we used to separate ourselves with. If you look from a greater perspective from out in space, but we're able to look and really see from that perspective how the countries work with each other as far as international trade, and it really does seem like there is some kind of a harmony going on from a bigger perspective. So you can look at the universe from, I think, two different perspectives, for me anyways, is that you can see everything does kind of work in harmony, or you can see how everything kind of individually has its own beauty. And that's been a big step for me. I have wrestled with self-hatred for at least a couple of decades that I can recall, and to come to a place where I can see the beauty in me. Even maybe I don't fit into necessarily transgender, that might not be the right term to use as far as that, at least that small part of myself, that's a small aspect of me. It's and maybe it doesn't kind of fit in or enrich anyone else's life. It's just something that exists, something that's part of me. But even though maybe it's strange and maybe I'm a strange and unique bird or flower that's growing in the forest somewhere, on its own, it has not only does it have a uniqueness, but it has a beauty to it. So that's such a vital step, I think, for everyone to get to, is to see and to know that there is beauty in you simply because you exist, not necessarily by what you identify yourself as, but just by the quality of you, by maybe the skills that you have, that you offer. Maybe you're a great listener. Maybe you're great at construction. Maybe you have a job where you transcribe. Maybe you work in the entertainment industry. All of these things, whatever you have, you just simply being and you having whatever job it is that you have, and you giving that service, even if you're exhausted at the end of the day, you're participating in life. You're participating and being a member of the earth plane, of this whatever cosmic or microcosmic experience that we're all having together. And there is beauty in you. Not only is there beauty in what you do, especially in the entertainment industry, you see people, maybe a fan will have an opportunity to approach a famous musician that they just are enamored by, and they say, oh, I love you, and that, if you really think about it, mostly it's just they love what they do, not the individual necessarily they might not know anything about. but they love what they do and that service that they offer. But I tell you that because you are in a place where you have a physical body, you're able to move it around, you're able to operate it. Those interactions that you create, that service that you offer to the world, whatever your job is, and whatever qualities that you just have just simply by being and existing, not even having to do anything, all of those things have your beauty within them, and your beauty radiates through all of those things. So, give yourself space if you are someone that's kind of dealt with that self-hatred that I'm speaking about. What has worked for me is to realize that, okay, maybe at the moment you're not able to see because of the self-hatred. You're not able to see the amazing contributions that you have through your work or through your interactions with others. Maybe that has been a very powerless experience for you whenever you interact with the outside world, whether it's friends, family, strangers. You still have that ability to express beauty simply by being, simply by taking the time. Just take 5 minutes a day and just sit with yourself and realize that you're a strange bird, you're a unique flower, that there just doesn't happen to be another one. You're it. So show up in life and really show up when you're having those interactions with others, interactions with the world, even when you're just simply walking somewhere, because we don't know how long we have to have these bodies. We're not guaranteed a specific amount of time. So understand, because of your uniqueness, you also have this amazing beauty, and treat yourself accordingly. Thank you.